Father David Ross is joining us today, and we're going to talk about evil. Sounds like a good thing for a priest to be talking about. So,
over
is
and
this
above,
because of the war? Tell us why this is on your mind.
Well, I'll tell you, it happened 50 years ago. I was a projectionist in a theater, a movie projectionist. And that was one of my responsibilities during my graduate days. And the movie came called The Exorcist.
Oh, dear.
I don't know if you ever remember that. And it just so happened that at the theater at the time were a number of the actors in the movie, and the technical director for the movie was a priest by the name of John Nicola. And after I saw that movie, I tell you, I couldn't sleep for 2 days.
Right,
I was so scared. And the whole country at that time was really immersed in the whole notion of evil at the time. Well, what's happened, I think, over the course of time, we've just become accustomed to it existing, and so we don't call it that anymore. It's like a war crime or something like that. But I think we've just gradually moved into the idea that evil really can be called something else, a psychological problem or something like that. There's really two forms of evil. There's a moral evil, and there's a physical evil. So, for example, a physical evil may be a tornado or something that causes people to suffer. But we've forgotten, I think, a lot about the moral evil and what's happening to people and the consequences of this moral evil that's happening over in Ukraine. The aggressor, we call the aggressor sometimes sick or something like that, but what's happening is, from my perspective, it is nothing but pure evil, especially when you consider the innocent people who are being killed, and the immense amount of suffering. Some world leaders have talked about it, they call it war crimes and stuff like that, but a few have actually denounced it as being an evil. It's causing people to suffer who have no reason to suffer whatsoever. And I think we can argue and talk about, whether evil is incarnate or whether or not evil is just something from within us. But I think just to get people again to talk about the fact that what's occurring is disastrous evil. I'm not sure if you've observed this.
Oh, I agree with you. I think it's evil, and when you just look at the video, and I mean, the destruction, and knowing that people are hiding in basements, and then they're attacking the places where they're hiding, and the bodies on the roads, and the mass graves that it's evil, it's terrible, it's horrible.
But what happens to us oftentimes is we see it so frequently now in the news these days.
You think we're desensitized to it?
That's the perfect word. I think we've become desensitized to evil, not only in Ukraine, but also in other places around the world. In Afghanistan, there are places in Africa where some of these things are occurring, and we don't even bother talking about them anymore. They occur in our own backyard. We have racism in our own backyard. Around the world there's racism in various varieties. But we've just become so desensitized to it that we call it by another name, and therefore it sort of legitimizes it. And we think, well, we can cure that. We can cure it. And I remember that movie, The Exorcist. Most people didn't realize this, but the technical director told us things in that movie were true. And there were actual factual things that they compiled to make that movie. And I'm thinking, my heavens to Betsy sakes alive. A kid came to me at LCC yesterday, one of the students. He says, "Father, have you ever done an exorcism?" I said, "No, but I've known a couple people who have, and even if I did, I couldn't tell you about it." But this goes beyond that, in my estimation. It just goes beyond it because of the desensitization in the country. And I think we should begin to talk about the fact that it's more than just a war crime, and that the evil exists within us. It can be within us, and it can overcome us in many cases.
But that's one of those topics people don't want to talk about, evil. It's just like they don't want to talk about, mental health and, suicide and things like that. Evil's one of those on the list, I think. They don't want to talk about it.
And exactly. And if you bring up the topic, people think you're crazy or you're a religious nut or something like that.
Right, yes.
But it's something, I think, that has to become part of common parlance again in social circles, for example, to talk about it as it is.
Right. Very good topic. Thank you, Father, for coming today.
Thank you, Holly.
All right, don't go away. Noon Edition continues in a moment.